You're back with your girls, Meesa and Meah from You Already Know. It's M&M Live Radio, and as you guys know, it's March Motivation here on the show. And along with giving you that extra motivation that you absolutely need, we're also going to take some and be talking to some of the dopest women that we know in this space all month long. And we have a very, very special in-studio guest with us, Meah, right here, right now.
That's right, Meesa. Listen, she's part creative.
Yes.
She's part weirdo.
Come on.
She's 100% authentic. And y'all, she is in studio with us right now. Oh my gosh. She's here to talk about her new single, Very Well, and some more other things. We want to welcome Cassandra to the show. Cassandra.
Yes. Hello.
How are you feeling?
Man, it's a whirlwind, honestly. I feel excited. I feel nervous because, I'm a newbie. But yeah, I'm just ready. I'm excited for life. And I'm just honored that I could be here.
No, thank you so much for coming on the show. Welcome to the show. I want to give some people some backstory. So, y'all, we met Cassandra, I want to say I will say this. I've always seen, your work. The graphics and, the artwork, cover art for, a lot of different artists. And then, so a mutual friend of all of ours, shout out to Wande. Yes. She was like, I have a friend, if you guys want to be a part of Aha Gazelle's music video shoot, it's called Weatherman. And, she needs 2 people. So Meesa and I were like, bet, let's go ahead and do it. And then so Cassandra was the director. Yes. And you edited the video as well. She played a lot of different parts in the Weatherman music video for Aha. And ever since, seeing her and, meeting her, we've just always been in, contact, supporting one another. And after meeting Cassandra, I'm not going to lie, honestly, I was very just admired by how your presence in the creative sense and how much you even own your personality and being weird. I kind of resonated with that. Yeah. So I super stalked her. And I went on your YouTube channel, was watching your videos and things like that. And so then we always would see each other at different events moving forward. So with hearing your new single and you even letting us know hey, I'm about to release, we were it only makes sense for you to be on the show. So thank you for taking the time to come all the way out here and be on M&M Live Radio.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm excited. Thank you so much.
We are so excited to even have you. But first things first, it seemed like you just took some time away to focus on your graphics talent and being a graphic artist and doing different things of that nature in that space. By you taking some time away and you focusing on your clients, now it's almost a total different Cassandra. You know what I'm saying? We have Cassandra behind the mic now. We have Cassandra with her voice now. Why is now the time you are deciding to release music?
Man, I mean, to first taking a step away, that was something that I don't know, I never thought I would do was walk away from the internet because I've always been on the internet. Yeah. So even at that, just stepping away was something that I wasn't even meant to do. I just kind of did it because I was well, I have all these clients. I am growing in this field of design in my career, and I was really taking off. I was working with a lot of people. There was multiple times where I almost worked with Marshmello, and Marshmello had a song with Juice WRLD, and I was gonna make the lyric video for it. There's a lot of things that were happening. Wow. And I was okay, I need to decide at this point in my life where do I want to go. And to talk on music, I was working on music for a while, but I never had that sense of I'm ready to be an artist. Because when you're an artist, there's so many things that you have to carry and roles you have to pick up and the person you have to be. And it's
a big role.
It's a really big role, and it's heavy because one, I'm a believer, right? So everything I do is an extension of my faith and the people that I want to impact and influence and even help, And so I was already skyrocketing in design, and I wasn't I didn't have the energy or capacity to handle both. So I was you know what, I'm in no rush. I feel that if this is something I'm meant to do, in the right time, music will release. Yeah. I'm just going to keep working on it. So I kept making music. I was doing vocal lessons for 2 years. I was kind of talking to different people about business management and things like that, and kind of understanding the music's business side, because that's a whole other world. And I was this is a lot, and I'm not going to rush into it, because if I rush into it, I feel I won't be prepared. And I feel one of the things I've always learned is preparation is key. Like if you don't prepare, like I prepared for years to go freelance. Like I was working at Trader Joe's and I was preparing all of that. So like a lot of it was like, one, like I didn't feel like I was ready, and two, like I also wanted to like understand. Like I wanted to have knowledge going into this new career field, because I was like, I see all my friends, I see all these people, and some people had really bad experiences. Some people, their finances were off, and so like some of their splits and royalties and things were messed up, and like even just like their development as an artist, like they started out with songs that they didn't feel like were who they wanted to be in the future. Like it was like they started with something and then they completely pivoted, and their fans didn't like that. So I was like, I saw all these things, and I was like, if I jump into this and I don't have music that I feel is fully me yet, like I'm gonna have to try like 10 times harder to be an artist.
Right. Yeah.
So I was like, let me keep like learning in graphic design, and at that point I was working with a lot of artists, so like I was learning as I was working with these people, and as I built like real relationships, they were like giving me game. They were like, yo, make sure you have this, make sure you do this, make sure like when you like before you even like start talking to labels, like you have all of these key pieces in set like in stone, so that like when they come to you, it's like you have all your cards and you're like, okay, yeah, like I can decide if I want to go with this person because I'm prepared and I have everything all together. So a lot of it was like, one, preparation, two, like even I was experiencing some things emotionally during the pandemic that I like go back to that confidence thing about releasing music and being an artist. Like I had a lot of inner workings that I needed to deal with that I didn't realize were still relevant in my life until I got into like a real adult relationship.
Yeah.
So like it was a lot going on at once. So now it's like, now I'm ready because one, I'm whole, two, I'm prepared, and I'm also like, I have the mindset and I've learned how to balance both, like be working on artists' projects and rollouts while being able to go to the studio and record. So I have balance now. And like now it's a matter of just like execution and like, all right, let's get it done.
That's good.
Yeah.
Listen, how Cassandra got her groove back.
That's what I'm saying.
ultimately like
but it's dope to hear that, you know, she because she has so many friends and she has such a close knit of people that understood the music industry and have been there, done that. She wanted to be deeply rooted.
Yeah.
And the fact that you decided to take that time, it shows that before you were even out and coming out as an artist, you were mature and you were like, listen, I got to make sure that boom, 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 these things take place so that I'm able to be on the right foot. That's really good.
Yeah, because some people just jump in head first and therefore they're fumbling along the way. So the fact that you were even able to work and still get game is a really big thing. So I want to talk about the journey of you being comfortable, because I'm watching your YouTube videos and things like that. You've always been so transparent about like, you know, the journey, being like, you know, guys, I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it and things like that. Talk about the journey of you just being comfortable in, you know, becoming an artist, being more comfortable in your voice, growing in that confidence in your artistry.
Yeah, I mean, that's heavy. Yeah. So transparency is my biggest thing. And so like why I stepped away was because I felt like some of the things that I was experiencing were not things for people to know, more so things that I needed to grow and experience so that one day I could speak on it. Because if I would speak on it, then it would be from a hurt place rather out of like, here's tools that I can help you. So like now I feel that I've had to confront a lot of my childhood trauma. I think that was one of the biggest things of like the journey that I just like not ran away from, because I am transparent. I'm very self-aware, but it was more so like, okay, like I need tools to work through when I'm triggered. I need to understand like where are these things coming from. And so a lot of it was like, a lot of the journey was a lot of experience and learning how to handle my triggers, handle like just things that were I don't know. It's hard because they're very deep, but I mean I don't mind sharing. But it's like I struggled a long time with like an eating disorder and even like body dysmorphia. When I was a kid, like I just always would stare at myself in the mirror and like I was very uncomfortable with my body. And it's just tough, you know, like those are things that like if you're always in the public eye, and I used to wear a lot more baggier clothes then because I was so afraid of my body. And I was almost like this really uncomfortable relationship that I had with myself and with food and even my face. Like that's like a big part of the journey as well, as I had really bad acne. And like when I was like, you know, trying to figure out what's wrong with me, what I hate me, it was like then I could actually love myself. Because like when I took the time to say that like, okay, these bad habits I have of like talking down and negative self-talk, it was keeping me really from like truly experiencing self-love, which is like I know who I am in like Christ, and I know like that like I am a beautiful being. So why don't I love myself? Like, you know, and like people admire me, and not to say that that's why I should love myself, but like there's something to love. Right. So why don't I love myself, you know? So a lot of that journey was confronting these issues that I had with triggers of like not wanting to be confident, and I would just kind of like, I could be weird and I could be quirky on the internet, but it was more so like there was this like wall that I had within myself. And so that's why I couldn't do music. That's why it was easy to hide behind the computer. That's why it was easy to just do design, because it was like I don't have to put myself out there like that, you know? And being an artist is like you are the product. Yeah, you are what you're advertising. Yeah. And I knew that if I come out with music, because I want my music to be about that journey that we're talking about, the real deep like insecurities and vulnerabilities of like me becoming this person that I know I'm supposed to be, and like also like the, you know, how I got here. A lot of the childhood experiences that brought these, you know, hard things that I've had to wrestle with, you know, and I want to write about that. And I was like, at that point I was broken. So I was like, what am I going to write about? More of my brokenness? You know, I want to be able to help people. I don't want to just write about these like, you know, devastating things or even like struggles that I have with like loving myself and viewing my body a certain way. Like I want to like help. I want to speak from a place of like guiding young women, you know? So that was a lot of the like main reason why I stepped away and why I was doing so much work and why I couldn't really post about it, because it was like, you know, these are things that I want to feel comfortable about one day sharing, and I don't feel comfortable yet because I don't understand it yet. Yeah. So a lot of it was just like understanding, journaling. I went to therapy and I got a lot of like great insight, even like church. Like I had stepped away from church for a while because it was just like really hurtful, and I just had a lot of experiences, and even finding a church here in Atlanta was really difficult for a while. So like you know, I would do like more small groups with people and things like that, or even call like my mentors that I have in New York and, you know, talk with them and experience like my little version of what community could be. So now it's like I have these tools that help me to stay in my green zone, right? So I have my red zone, my yellow zone, my green zone. And so now I have people that I can reach out to if I'm in my yellow zone. And my red zone is like, okay, like, let me step back, let me take a minute, let me recollect, let me, you know, call my therapist, let me figure something out, because I'm in a place where I don't feel that I can completely be grounded, and I don't feel like I can have a sense of like, you know, mental well-being, you know? So now I feel like not that I have a grip because I'm still learning, but it's more of like I understand. Yeah, better understanding. I have a lot of tools, and I'm really excited to speak from this place rather than speaking from the hurt place, because I didn't feel like I could give people anything out of hurt, you know? I
love that. I feel like being a creative is such a scary space almost, only because it's kind of like people see you as like, you know, like this super outgo. You have all these ideas, you can do this, all this, that, but they have no idea, like, you know, that there's more to you on the inside, that like, you know, you express yourself to get maybe your mind off of certain things. I just know from like me personally, like, you know what I'm saying? So the fact of you even taking the time to even like, you know, figure out like, you know, those red zones, those yellow zones, like, even therapy, even like, you know, like creatives, like us protecting our creative mental space is even like, you know, that are us having a foggy creative space, it affects us creatively. So the fact that you were so mindful and was kind of like, okay, let me take a step back, because everybody wants to show everybody the journey on social media. Like everyone say, I'm moving, the curated journey, I'm on the grind, I'm in the studio, I just made a video, I just made a hit. When it's kind of like, you know, but there's so much deeper on the inside of me that could help me produce better of me. And you taking the time and being so aware of the fact that I want to better me, so therefore other people can experience that as well is huge.
I was literally about to say that. Like, one thing that I'm realizing and just listening to you respond to the questions, the fact that it just seems like you are just so aware, but not only that, but you're responsible. Like, it seems like, because you said, I'm not quite sure where I'm at right now, personally. Like, I'm dealing with these childhood traumas. I'm dealing with not really knowing who I am. I'm dealing with trying to figure out, you know, my relationship with me and my body. Before I speak to anybody out there or put any music out there, I feel like it's important to love me before I can talk about loving yourself to somebody else. Because, I mean, everybody's going through something in their lives. But before you put any music out there, you were like, okay, one thing I'm going to do very well is I'm going to realize my triggers and realize what my healing process looked like. And speaking of very well, we got to transition into talking about this song right here, this single, Very Well. This song, I feel like, it's for the girls.
It's such a feel-good song.
I feel like voguing every time I hear it.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel so good.
It's such a great vibe of a song. So take us, Cassandra, through the creation process of Very Well.
Yeah, so it's so funny because RG had made the beat, and it was like such a fun beat, and it was a little bit more raw when we had first made it together, but he was like, yo, what do you think of this? And we were just like chilling. I think he like took a break from working on his album, and he was like, do you like this? And I was like, heck yeah, like, it sounds so good.
Yeah.
So he was like, he would like do it, and then I was like humming, and then he was like, I feel like this is a really sassy moment. And at that point where I was mentally was I was like, I was working through healing, and I think my acne had cleared up a lot at that point, and so like I was more comfortable with showing face, and I had built a better relationship with my body, so I was a little bit more comfortable with wearing like not as baggy clothes, because I used to really drown myself.
The music video, there were looks.
Yeah, there were looks.
Video.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So when we were writing it, it was like, I want this to feel like, I don't know, a moment. Like, I don't want it to feel too like Beyonce. I don't want it to feel too Rihanna, but I want it to definitely feel empowering, and I want it to feel kind of like quirky and indie. And so I think he came up with the hook, and he was like, na 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 na, and I was like, ooh, I like that. He was like, what if it's like you're just like on some like self-talk, like you're just speaking of it, like you're good, like you're confident, like you love yourself, like people are wasting your time, because I think I was having a lot of like graphic design like experiences with people, and they were tripping, and I was like, yo, listen,
So it's a slight diss track.
my time is worthy. Yeah, slight for sure. And we came up with it, and it was just like so easy to write. It was so easy to write because I felt like I was comfortable with myself, and I think for him, he's seen a lot of my journey. Like we met each other at a like pretty pivotal point of our lives, so like we both got to watch each other like heal and grow and develop as like whole people, rather than just like being great at a craft. We were like, yeah, we're good at our craft, but we're also like developing our personal selves. So when we wrote it, it was like, it just felt like so easy. Like it felt so easy, and it felt so true to myself. And at the time, like, because I was still in the process, it was almost like a, one day I'll be here. One day I'll be able to say these things, and I'll really feel it, and I'll be able to just wake up and be like, yes, like I own this. Like it was almost like a, not like prophetic, but it was more like, like an affirmation that one day I will get to this point where I'll feel like this, and even if I don't feel like it, I'm still gonna like speak those words of affirmation to myself.
That's so real. Because honestly, for me, being even transparent, 2020 was really hard for me, even like, dealing with insecurities and things like that. And when I tell you, Cassandra, I had a playlist of songs that I had to listen to, and I would be crying listening to, because I'm kind of like, one day I'm going to be able to sing this and feel it and genuinely mean it. So I truly feel that. And I think the beautiful part about that is the fact that I know someone probably feels like that even listening to the song, who's not probably feeling very well. They're just kind of feeling like, ish. You know what I'm saying? So therefore they can... I love that you said that, because it's people can feel the sense of, okay, I'm not here, but if I constantly speak this over me, I can't get here. Like honestly, I'm like, I'm even like a testament to that. Because I love the lyrics, because they're so empowering. Like you could have wrote a song honestly about anything. Like you could have wrote a song about like heartbreak. Like, you could have did a song about like, like the people, like women write songs about like, especially like, women in music, there are different reasons to what we write, but this song is so empowering. What made you want to go that route and like a positive, like, you know what I'm saying? Because you could have written about like, anything, but you wanted to go the route where it's kind of like, I'm feeling good about myself. I'm loving where I'm at. What made you want to go that direction?
So this is like a personal like backstory, but like my whole life I've always felt like I was raised by women. I led women when I was like a youth. I was like leading young girls, and I was like helping them, when I was like a teen, and like taking them to prom and hearing about their heartbreaks and all their stories. And like, even as I got older, a lot of my friends, like my friend Emily, like she's been a person that I feel like I've been able to really like help like bring out that confidence for her to step out and be a stylist and things like that. And there's just like, and I say that because like it's always been my heart's like yearn is to be there for women, to support women, like because I think I saw my mom struggle with things when she was like, you know, still like my age now, raising me when I was a kid. Like I saw my grandmother, she was like a hardworking like Puerto Rican woman in Puerto Rico, buying houses and like, you know, being self-sustained and not depending on a man, owning properties and knowing
Grandma.
that, you
I know
know,
that's right.
she was like setting up these properties for like, you know, essentially me and my future kids in my generation. You know, like I was raised by strong women, and I saw them hurt, and I saw them struggle with those moments of, you know, insecurity, or even carrying yourself as that, like that presence, you know?
Yeah.
And I think like I've always been around that. So like to write for it was like, oh no, this makes sense. This is my whole life. This is my like life journey. Even now to this day, like I am for women. I support women. I will help women. Like
Absolutely.
I'm here to like encourage and build up and strengthen, because one, not only is my job and where I sit in like a role in, you know, community, like I understand that like my words do have power, and like, you know, if I can write a song about this, like I'm gonna encourage some young girl and then their mom and, you know, whatever. And like it's been crazy because I've been getting DMs literally where it's like my intention that I put out for the song is like being received by people.
That's so good.
Like
so good.
someone messaged me and they were like, hey, my mom, we lost our dad in COVID, and you know, she was struggling a lot with like, you know, losing her husband. You know, she was trying to find herself and, you know, find that confidence again as a mother and as a woman. And like he was like, she plays this song every morning. Like you don't understand how much these words like mean to her as she's waking up and preparing for her day and reminding herself that she is worthy, that like she can take care of herself. Like she like, you know, like age is nothing but like beauty. Like, you know, it's like aging as a woman is not something to be scared of, but to embrace, you know, because of the wisdom. And like it is beauty. It's true beauty. Like plastic surgery and all that stuff, it'll be here, but it's like, man, there's something so beautiful about like wherever you sit with that stuff. It's like as you get older, there's a beauty in age, and there's a beauty in like confidence, and like how you get old, like how you get older, and like the things you learn, and like how you're, you know, putting yourself out there and whatever you do. So that was like the intention. So to like receive like DMs and like conversations with people like texting me like every other day, like the song is stuck in my head and I literally like, I love it. I'm like living, like it's not like an annoying kind of thing. It's like it's a self-talk, it's a self-reminder. So it's honestly just beautiful.
It's an anthem.
And I love, honestly, I can really tell that Cassandra is in her bag.
Very much so.
Why?
Very well. She's in her bag very well.
She's very much, very well in her bag. So, but only because it's like, you know, when we talk about this song, I can tell that this song was special to you. And you hold it near and dear to your heart because it is changing lives as we know it. And you're probably thinking that, I mean, hey, it was a good opportunity for me to put my emotions on paper and put those lyrics to a track and different things of that nature. But the way how it has been a way of healing for you is healing so many women and just people in general. Like, we don't know who is healing, but we know for a fact that it's changing the lives of women out there that really need to hear that they are doing very well. So I want to ask you, because I mean, obviously we need some more music, Cassandra, but like what do you want for people to feel when they hear your music?
I feel like I just want it to be real life.
Yeah.
I want it to be real life. I want it to be relatable. I want to be honest. Like, I think like my overall goal with like songwriting, because I'm developing, I've always written songs like when I was a kid, but like I never showed anybody. But now as a songwriter, I'm like, I want this to just be really like relatable. I want people to hear my music and relatable in a sense to where it's comforting, not in a sense to where it's like, oh, I'm going through that. It's more like, dang, like almost like reflective, like self-reflection. I want people to listen to what I write about and become self-aware. Like there's this song that I'm like really excited about that's on my project, and it's like it's a very like real song about feeling really lonely and like the experiencing the struggles of being an adult and realizing that like there's certain friendships that can't go with you to like the stage that you're at in your healing.
Say that again.
And there's
That's
people
good.
that you like are no longer cool with, and it's like that weird phase of like, okay, like I know there's people around me and maybe I need to invest in those relationships more. I need to analyze these things, but like that process is like, it feels very lonely. And it's not a sense of like, we wrote that song because me and RG wrote it. It's not a sense to write that song because it was like, I'm feeling so down. It's like, yo, like, you're not alone. Like, I'm with you in that experience of like growing up as an adult. Like, I feel like adulthood has been so weird for me. So writing these songs are like, I want people to self-reflect.
That's good.
You know, I want people to feel inspired. I want people to feel like someone else is kind of going through life with them, you know? And that's really the intention. And obviously through time, I'll probably make like different types of songs that aren't so deep because I am a deep person, but, you know, fun. And those are just like means of like, we have life to celebrate, you know? I'm a girl. Like there's things that I want to just be really girly about, you know? So I think for the most of the songs that I do have on the project, though, I think the biggest thing is self-reflection.
That's good.
So we're hearing words like project and more songs.
Yeah.
So that means there's more music on the way.
Yeah,
correct?
1000%.
All right. So listen. So I need everyone to be on the lookout when new things like this happen. But I'm happy that this isn't just a one and done thing. Like, you know, I'm excited that, like, you know, you've got the ball rolling. Even when it came to, like, you know, you fundraising music, like the fundraising, like, you know, money for, like, you know, the music video and, like, you know, doing your own sets and having, like, your friends and, like, you know, RG be a part of that process. Talk a little bit about that, like, you know, being able to, you know, fund your own dream and, like, you know, everything you've been wanting to do in regards to music.
Yeah, that was wild. I didn't think that many people were going to donate. And even now I'm like, what do I do? Like, I mean, how do I navigate this, you know? But yeah, it was wild. So at that point, I was just freelancing, and my friend Sophie, she's an artist as well, and we go back to like working at Trader Joe's together. And she had become an artist over the pandemic. Not became, she was an artist. She just like finally released her stuff and started doing things. But so she had just gone through the process, and I was like, dude, like, what do I do? Like, I mean, obviously I have experience, but I'm like, I don't have finances for this. Like, I'm still developing, I'm still building. Like, I didn't have like multiple streams of income, and I couldn't like supply for my artistry. And I knew, I was like, my first video has to be what I have in my head. Like, literally creating the idea. I've had this idea for years, for either it was going to be for like somebody else or if it was going to be for a commercial. Like, I've had this idea for so long, like for so long. So like, when I had the right song, I was like, well, I can't jip the video. Like, I can't stay here and just make something, whatever. So I was like talking to her. She's like, why don't you do a fundraiser? And I was like, oh my God, you think people would give me money for my music? Like, yo, what? Like, people are out here working in a pandemic trying to survive, you know? Yeah. So I was like, dang, okay, like, if it works, it works. You know, I'll try to figure it out. I was like, I'll sell, like, I'll do a cover art sale. Like, I'll do lyric video sales. Like, I'll do whatever. But I did the fundraiser, and within a week, I got like, I think it was close to like $3,000, which like to me was mind blowing, because I was like, wow, people really like believe in me.
Yeah. They rock with it.
Yeah, and like most of these people have been following me since I was like a graphic designer only on my page, because now I have 2 pages on Instagram, but my main one has always been my first page. Yeah. So I was like, these are people who are rocking with me when I was like out here doing art shows in Orlando. So I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I got the money, and then I was like, great, now it's just execution. So obviously I had been working with people for years, and I was like, I already knew who I wanted to do my video, and that was my good friend Andler that we got to do the AHA video with, and my friend Emily, like, she was a stylist, so it just worked great. I showed her what I wanted. She found a website, and we just looked through it together, and we found some outfits. And my friend Sophie, she's a visionary like me. Like, I'd say that, like, yo, if there's someone that I relate to when it comes to art and I could trust, is her. Like, she sees what I see, and that's so hard to find. So it was just like really easy for her. Like, I was like, I gave her my video treatment. I gave her like my shot references. I gave her the coloring. I was like, this is what I want. Yeah. Have fun. Like, I want you to feel like, do your thing too. Like, it's not just my vision, but like all of the people who help me, I want them to have a part, because ultimately, like, that speaks to different people and that relates to different people. And so, yeah, it was crazy. Like, we got together, went to Miami. I used a studio that I used to record in. And I asked if I could use it for the day, and they said yeah. And Sophie invited all her friends. I invited some of my friends. So it was like a room full of women. Like, it was freaking cool. Goodness. And RG was like working the lights for me, and like all my friends that had, like, you know, I had helped them were now helping me, and that was so crazy to see, because I just never thought I'd get there. You know, not because I didn't think that these people like loved and supported me, like I know they do, but it was just a really wild moment of like, dang, like, this is wild, like, this is for me. And I felt so loved by God, essentially, because I was like, wow, like, you want me to do this. So the process was like smooth, and it was like, you know, when people are like how do you say, like when it happens, it's like it'll happen the way it's supposed to, or it's meant to be, or it won't be hard, it won't be like a rough journey, it won't be like a push. It's like it's very easygoing. Like it really was so easygoing. And just asking people for help, and even to the point where the song came out, it was like my friends mixed and mastered it for me, and like, you know, I still don't have the funds yet to build this up, so but
you had the support.
I had the support, man, and people have just been so supportive, even to the fact that like Greg Castile, he wrote one of my article that got on Ones to Watch, and like just all these people that I've either like been friends with on the internet, or I've built more relationship with person, or people who really been my friend for a long time. It was like I got to walk in my purpose, but I was also supported. And so good. I feel like I still feel that, and I think I will feel that, because I think that like this is what I am supposed to do. And I've been so faithful to help others and build them up, you know? And not to say that that's why. It's just more so, but like... But you
sowed the seeds.
I sowed seeds. Yeah. I sowed a lot of seeds. I sowed so many seeds for years that I felt like I was supposed to do things. And even if they were difficult, or if the people like wronged me or whatever, like it was like, nah, like I know this is what I'm supposed to do. So even if I don't know what it looks like in the end, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm supposed to do, you know? So the process was honestly just beautiful. It just felt like, I don't know, like I was a little kid. I imagined myself like wanting to be a singer, because I've always wanted to sing. I was just like more shy, but I can just imagine little me like, whoa, like that's really me. Like I really get to do that. Yeah. Like, you know, I just picture my inner child like filled with so much joy, because I just never thought I could be that person, or that like things would work out for me like this. So it's just wild.
Because it was so easy. That just proves how like meant to be it was,
like,
you know?
Because it was effortless, I feel like, you know, God strategically made sure that it was going to be that way for you. I mean, like we said before, like you have sown so many seeds, just helping and investing and just contributing all of you to whatever the vision somebody else had, and just bringing everything to life. I feel like that's the reason why everything just went so well, and the reason why everyone was able to embrace you so beautifully, you know. And another thing that I even heard was the fact that you have all that you need. Like you had lighting crew, you had people mixing and mastering, you had the friends that were already equipped with the skill set that was needed to take you to the next level. But you know, one person I have to make mention that we always have been talking about throughout the entire interview is RG. We got to talk about RG now.
Yes, sir.
Listen, if you do not know who RG is, he is a Reach Records recording artist. He goes by the name of RG. RG is Cassandra's boyfriend. They've been in a pretty committed relationship for a few years now. So first things first, how is your relationship with RG?
It's great. Good? Yeah, it's great. It's honestly so cool. I never thought, I mean, I always wanted to date a creative, because I was like, I need someone who's going to understand my life. Like I can't be out here just like dating like no schmomo. And like that probably is like whatever to people, but it's more so like it's to the core of like understanding. Completely. I need someone to understand me, because like, one, my lifestyle, two, like how my brain works, and like, I mean, to be frank, like a lot of my day is in the living room on my computer, so I can't be with someone who's gonna feel like I can't be attentive to them while I have this lifestyle. So like, it's really cool, because aside from whatever art and whatever, like at the core of it, he understands me, and I've always had a problem with that in a lot of my relationships, where people have never like, they can't embrace my weirdness. They're embarrassed of me in public. They think I talk weird. They think I'm like too much, and like, you know, and I felt like, wow, this guy really like, he understands me and he accepts me. And that was so big when we first met each other. And it was just like, it was like a cute like indie movie when we first had our first date, and I honestly will never forget it. But being with him is like, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like, obviously, like, being in an adult relationship is different, because, like, you're just, like, really doing life with somebody. And, like, you're really, like, growing together. And so there's a lot of things that, like, die in that process. And there's a lot of things you got to pick up, you know? So it's been really cool to, like, become an adult with him and, like, to be best friends. I feel like that's the one thing I'll always tell everybody is, like, that's my best friend. That's my literal best friend. Like, I literally love him. Like, yo, we do everything together. Like, I'm just so excited and honored that I get to, like, do life with him. And it's just fun. We just have a lot of fun.
That we see.
Right.
The blushing.
I know you're blushing.
Like it really is amazing to see. Cause I mean, I hope everybody finds their person.
Yeah, it should always feel like every person should describe it like that.
It should always be that way. You know, we would know a difference if she was like, I mean, I can't stand RJ. But you know, but the fact that you guys can, do life together, do music together, be creative together. It's such a rare thing to find. It's a huge plus in life. But along with that question, I wanted to ask you, with the both of you being artists, and the both of you being creatives, how do you balance respecting each other's creative process while challenging each other at the same time? Like, what does that look like for you?
It's really funny. I'm laughing because, like, literally last night, the thing is, like, when you're creative, like, we're both, like, the same but different. So, like, I'm very outspoken, and he's very, like, detail oriented. So, like, he'll be like, oh, what do you think of this? And I'm like, no, I think we should change that, and I don't like this. And so sometimes it's funny because I'm literally imagining him last night. He's like, I just wanted you to, like, let me know. I'm like, oh, I'm giving you the honest truth. Like, you're asking me, So it's funny. It really depends on what it is, because he's also, like, a graphic designer and video editor, and he's learning animation. So, like, it's cool because we do the same things, but, like, for me, I feel like there's still things I'm learning in music, right? Because recording and singing live in person, there's a lot of things that you just have to learn from experience, and obviously I'm not that experienced. So when it comes to music, there's things that he's, like, a lot more, like, aware of. And so, like, if we're in the studio or I'm writing, he's like, I think it'd be better like this. I'm like, oh yeah, it would be better like that. Yeah. And so, like, graphic design is obviously my baby, and so, like, there's certain things that he does and I'm like, no, you need to change that. So it's really fun. Like, honestly, like, at the end of it, it feels really cool because, like, we see each other, and, like, when there's things that he can't communicate, I step in and I help communicate it because, like, I have so much background here, and vice versa. Like, if there's, like, beats or songs or sonics or textures or sounds or, like, bass lines or, like, even, like, my vocal chain, because that was, like, a mission for a long time, like, because I can't sing and we want to, like, flatter my voice, and I don't like auto-tune. So it's like, what is the balance between that, like, creatively and artistically? And so, like, there's things that he speaks into, and, like, to be honest, like, I probably wouldn't have my sound without his guidance, because I knew what I wanted. I would show people stuff and I was like, this is what I want, and they'd be like making things that were very opposite. Like, one of my songs is like a Spanish song. It's like very influenced by, like, Puerto Rico and stuff. And so when we were coming up with it, I was like, I want it to be like this, but I don't want it to be too, like, reggaeton, because I want it to still feel like indie. And so there's just things like that where he speaks into. So it's honestly very cool in a sense that we can communicate for each other and understand, like, gaps. And then it's also cool because we get to execute together, which I don't think people really get to do that. So, it's fun. It's definitely, it's hard at times because I think I am too honest and I'm working on being a little bit more loving in my my notes. But other than that, it's really fun. It's difficult and it is a lot of balance, and you do need to set time for, like, intentional dates. So, like, we plan our weeks out together because we do so much. So it's like we need to make time for the relationship, and, like, for family too, because that's a big thing, because he has a huge family and my family's not here. So planning time for that, and, like, growing as a relationship. So it's a lot of intentional planning, timing, setting things aside, and also putting up boundaries for work, us, ourselves, because we're not married yet, and, like, just a lot of things. Just a lot of things,
Right.
Yeah. No, but I love that you both are able to play a big part in what both of you guys are so passionate about. Because, like, I feel like some people don't like to share it. They don't share it. It's kind of like, oh, it's mine, and I want for our relationship to be this, and I want for this to be, like, my outlet. And
it's very rare.
Separate the two.
Super rare.
So the fact that you guys mesh so well is a very beautiful thing. Now, you've said how a little bit even off camera, how you of course with being in music, but even, like, directing, like, like with the AHA shoot, like, you like you said, even you have some more directing work you have coming up as well, even like, graphics and freelance and things like that. And you even also, you talked about, like, wanting to be into, like, know about producing a little bit more, things like that. I feel like women in the music, and having women representation in music behind the scenes is so important. And I feel like it's not as strong sometimes. Like, have you felt like you had to push yourself to be able to, like, learn more about, like, the music industry, like, on the business side, and then even, like, learning more things about even producing, like, dabbling in directing? Like, have you felt like you had to push yourself to be that representation that you might want to see?
I think I naturally am that. Like, I naturally take on that role of, like, helping people into the place, because I feel like the biggest thing is, like, there's the gap, right? But for me, it's like, who can I bring into the gap? So for me, it's always been like, okay, I see talent in someone. How can I help this person, So I help bring them in. So I don't feel pressure because I feel like it's just naturally who I am. I naturally like to help people. So, like, for me, it's like, okay, cool. Like, okay, yeah, at some point someone's going to see this and be inspired to maybe do this one day. But, like, what really matters aside from the inspiration is, like, who am I bringing with me?
Yeah.
Who is, like, alongside of me? Who am I inspiring? Who am I encouraging? Who am I texting? Like, yo, you need to get on this,
Yeah.
So I feel like it's my natural core. Like, because all my friends will literally tell you, they'll be like, Cass is always, like, telling us, like, oh, we need to do this, or, dang, like, you're right, like, I need to step this up, like, that's just who I am in my natural element. So I think when it comes to, like, the industry, like, and doing all these things, like, being a director, being another girl on set, or being in the room, and being a woman, because, like, that'd be mattering too. I think, like, for the most part, like, I've always tried to, like, see life as, like, who can I bring with me? Because it's not just me, it's other people. And, like, those people, like, one day will influence those other people. So I think for me, it's more like, it's just lifestyle. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like pressure. It doesn't feel like I have to, like...
Do you feel like you get the respect as a woman, like, behind this, like, when even in a directive sense, and, like, being on set, or, like, being the woman presence, maybe even the only woman present in the room?
I do. I don't think, I don't know if I've been in room. It's been a while since I think I've been in a room who wasn't my friends.
Yeah.
So when I first started, I actually did a shoot for somebody with Joe Gonzalez.
Yeah.
And I was still, like, a newbie, and I didn't see myself as, like, a woman on set. I was just like, I'm good at this. I'm going to be good at this, and I'm going to kill this. Like, I'm going to kill it.
Yeah.
And I remember at the end, the next day, the guy texted me. He was like, wow, like, you really, like, know what you're doing. Like, you're very, like, you have a great eye. Like, you see things really well. So I think for me, like, because for me, I know I'm a woman, that's, like, one part, but it's, like, I want to be great at what I do. I want to exceed people's expectations. And my boss, she kind of low-key hates that sometimes. She's like, just get it done. Just get it done. I don't need you to be going out here making these things. Like, I just need you to finish. And I'm like, I can finish, but I'm going to try to go a little over above, because that's just who I am. So for the most part, I don't feel pressure. I don't feel... like, I feel respect for the most part because I carry myself with that professionalism, which is something that I'm always complimented on, is because I like to be professional. Yeah. I was like, I like to carry myself in a way that I'm like, this is my role. These are my expectations. These are what people are asking of me, and I'm going to communicate myself clearly. So I feel like if I always hit that, like, ball, I'm like, well, I'll always be respected because I carry myself with that respect. So if I'm, like, a creative and I'm a woman, it's like, oh, you're not just respecting me just because it's like I'm the girl in the room. It's like, oh, no, she's good at what she does.
Right. Absolutely.
So I feel like that's how I kind of see it. I don't know if that answers completely.
No, but I feel like that speaks a lot because I've even found myself being like, okay, I'm the only woman in the room. Yeah. It's kind of like, so therefore you don't want to, if you're seen as assertive, you're looked at a certain way. You're looked down upon. But then if you're like, softly spoken, you're looked at a certain way. So I was just curious with that. But I think that's great that you're like, this is what I do and I should be respected as such, period. Regardless of me being a woman or whatever. Because I bring this to the table. I probably made the table, for crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, being able to uphold yourself and then therefore people being able to fall in line is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. Now with you being so creative, I can only imagine the amount of burnout that you experience every now and then. Like, God. Like there's writer's block, there's foggy minded, like there's just so much, or just not being inspired altogether. Yeah. What are some outlets that you have that you've accepted, that you decided to, involve yourself in to relax and decompress and to just clear your mind of some things?
Man, that's wild. It's actually like the complete opposite. So it's not even like anything creative. I feel like I'm really enjoying, one, I love to cook. Really? I'm like a low-key chef. Like, I'm not trying to brag, but like I be chef cooking nowadays. But I be throwing down. Like, it depends. Like, for the most part, I cook a lot of like Asian-inspired foods, like fusion. I've been cooking a lot more Mexican, obviously, because of Archie's mom, and I've been learning her recipes. I'm like top tier at pasta. I think my thing is Italian, low key. Like, I'm really good at making really nice pasta and like, just a whole really, I love like culinary, the presentation of food. Yes. I get that from my dad. My dad is like that. So I think for me, cooking a really beautiful meal and setting the table and like creating an experience, I think that is like toning down for me. And then also like nature, my morning routine, like I'm very like I stretch, like I've been trying to go outside more, but even just like going to the grocery store, like to like buy flowers or like, you know, to pick up groceries. Like for me, it's very wholesome, very chill. Like tuning out is just like, I love to cook. Like I literally like, oh my gosh, I love cooking.
Oh, we should have found out this before she got here. 'Cause we were like, we said we should ask Cassandra to pick us up some food.
Low key though.
Interesting because it's like, you know, I can relate to that. I love to cook.
Yes, I love it.
I'm a foodie at heart, so I'm gonna eat
1000%.
all types of food regardless.
Yeah.
I'm really big on ingredients and like mixing and the whole chemistry of it
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
and even the presentation. So I've even realized that when it comes to a lot of artists, especially really big creatives like yourself, instead of just doing something that's completely opposite of what you invest your time into creatively, you use that creativity and you put it towards something else creatively. You know what I'm saying? Which is, you know, experimenting with different flavors and what have you. So that's really interesting.
But even the importance of just rest in general, like we're even learning that right now with like you don't have to work. It's not healthy for you to work 24/7. You know, and the only way you're able to pour into what you do is by you taking time away from, like, you know, doing what you know what I'm saying? Like it's important. Like I love skating. Like that gets my mind off of, like, you know, what I'm doing right now, just stresses in general. So hearing that you love to cook, we're gonna have to be invited over so you can be able to throw down for us. I feel like that just sounds so good. But the fact that just rest just being important in general. So I feel like the overall arcing thing that I feel like has spoken so many volumes that throughout this entire interview was your growth and your confidence. You know, that when it comes to, like, you know, your body, your skin, your music, just overall, like, you know, your personality, different things like that. How, looking back and seeing how far you've come, do you even get kind of like shocked, being like, wow, like, you know, I've come so far. Like I can't believe I never, because sometimes I feel like that, like, man, I never thought I would have made it to this point of being so secure, you know, even like we don't have all the answers, but the fact being, like, just looking back over your journey, do you ever, like, you know, have those moments, those reflective moments?
I do. It's kind of crazy though, because it's like, for me, I have a lot of like these moments documented. So I like watch my old YouTube videos that I like took down, and I'm just like, dang, like it's kind of crazy because I wish I could have spoken to myself then, because I really needed that encouragement. And, you know, a lot of the time I didn't have those people around me that were so self-aware that could guide me in that. I felt like a lot of it was like a lot of people not understanding. So when I do reflect, I'm like, man, like, one, I'm proud of myself because, like, I'm doing the work, but I did a lot of work. And it's just so wild because I'm like, I get excited for like the future generations that like get to reap this. Like when I look back, I'm like, man, like I'll be able to like speak life to my children one day. So like their kids are going to be so confident that like they're going to be like rock stars, and whatever they decide to do, they're literally going to be like moving with this sense of self that is just so, I don't know, right now it feels unattainable because of like social media, but it's like when you do the work, you're doing work for generations after you. And that's just beautiful. So for me, like looking back is like encouraging, and it also reminds me that it's like, man, I really want to be that voice that I wish I had to somebody, you know? And so to tie it all around to everything, it's like, that's why I wrote very well, because I was like, I wish I had someone in my life that could have said those words to me. Because I did, but it wasn't like that, you know? And it wasn't like in a sense where it gave me tools. It was like, no, Cass, you're beautiful. Like, we don't even notice your acne. Or it's like, no, you have such a beautiful soul. And it's like, those things are great, you know? But like, what really matters is those like, yo, like, go to therapy, you know? Like, hey, you should really think about like, I don't know, like journaling in the mornings. Or things that really like help you kind of like work towards the healing and communicate and understand, because I think I never understood. I just always felt. And so now that I'm like, I have understanding for people who are feeling, I can give them these tools and help, and like, you know, things that they can do that can really like work towards the journey, because it's a long journey.
It's bigger than you.
I'm still on it, but it's, you know, we're making moves. You know?
That's good. I love that.
And honestly, because I feel like the entire conversation, our entire interview here has just been so motivating. It is March Motivation here on M&M Live Radio. We just kind of give a little more positivity, a little bit more encouragement, a little bit more of just, you know, how we can, or how our audience can just get past what they're dealing with. You talk so much about your journey. You've talked so much about what you're healing from and what tools you're taking and what resources you're using to get past your humps in the road. But if you could speak to anybody out there, whatever's on your heart when it comes to motivation and positivity and encouragement, what would you say? What's on your heart?
Right now, I'd say, I think rest is the biggest thing. I think like people need to rest, because if you don't rest, you don't have time to like have a sense of self. And I feel like that's really important, because it's like, man, like you can't do all these things that you have dreams or goals to do if you're not okay. Like you gotta be okay. And if you're not resting and taking moments to see like, okay, I've been feeling kind of like low in these areas, and I kind of noticed that like I'm picking up some habits that I don't want to like necessarily carry into like these new seasons because they're holding me back. Like for me, one of my biggest things is like, I know when I start getting really offended by things that there's something that's hurting me, that I've faced some type of rejection or hurt that's keeping me from, loving and accepting like, the love that people are trying to give to me, or, the help that people are trying to give to me. And so like, when I rest, like I really like tune out, like I'm really just chilling. I'm journaling, I'm reading a book, I'm, going to my therapist, and I'm asking my friends who are also self-aware, like, hey, like this is what's going on. I really don't want to get into a red zone, and I really want to like prepare myself so that I can keep going. Because I mean, life is fast. Life is always moving so fast. So if you don't make time to slow down, like it's going to run all over you, and you're going to feel it. And when it hits you, it's going to be like a ton of bricks, because, like it hits. Life hits. Yeah. So I think just like slow down, rest, and like really embrace healing. Don't be afraid of it. Because I feel like a lot of people are scared of like the work that they have to do to like overcome these triggers that they may have with anxiety or with depression or even just family stuff. Like there was a season where I had to step away from being around certain family members because I was like, this is not good for my well-being. And I love you and I care for you, but I also love me. Yeah. And like, I want to be a mom. Yeah. I want to be a good wife. I want to be a good sister. And like, those are things that are really important to me in a season. And I was like, there are certain things and dynamics right now that are not fueling that. And I have to step away, because like, ultimately, like when they're ready to receive the love and the growth of like who I am, they'll see that and understand it and they'll respect it. Mm-hmm. But like, the roles that I want to play in the future and the role I play now as a big sister, like that's like top tier to me. I'm like, I want to be a great mother, a great wife, and a sister. I was like, I'm working on the daughter part. I'm working on it. But, for the most part, I'm like, I want to be able to say, like, when I have a child, I want to be ready, mentally ready. I want to be prepared. I, like, look so forward to being a wife and, like, really, like, creating a home with, with RG and whatever. But, those are things that are really important to me. So, yeah, slow down. Yeah. Life is just so fast.
Oh, man. I hope that you guys hold fast to the words that Cassandra has just spoken through the mic, because those are just some really, really important practical gems that I feel like a lot of people need to hear. Like there are people out there that are 50, 40, 30, 90 years old that really feel like, the way to life and to being successful is always hustling, always grinding, always, getting up and making sure that you're working and you're rising to the occasion. But it's okay to rest. Mm-hmm. It's okay to respect your body and to respect your time and to say, you know what, hey, I can't do that right now. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little bit later, and create yourself some boundaries. I feel like that's super, super important with creating boundaries and figuring out what that healing process looks like for you. Cassandra, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. But before you go, give everyone your social media sites so that we can stay connected with you.
Oh my God. Okay, so my main page is Cassandra Jolie, CSNDRAJOLIE. My YouTube's the same. If you want to work with me professionally in terms of art, it's Casa Projects. So Casa, like a house, and then projects, PROJCTS. I do a lot of stuff, and email me, and that's it.
Yes, make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen, Captain. Man, listen, make sure you guys are following Cassandra on all social media, and also, guys, listen, don't forget it. Make sure you guys go get the new single that's out right now. It's called Very Well by Cassandra, and it's on all music platforms.
Yes, absolutely, man. And once again, Cassandra, thank you so much for being on the show. Just know that you always have our support here at M&M Live Radio, okay?
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Now, to everybody out there, like Meah said, man, we're about to vibe a little.
We're going to vibe just a little bit. Here's Very Well by Cassandra. Listen, turn this one up, and we'll be right back. You're listening to You Already Know.
It's M&M Live Radio.